Have you ever had difficulty eating healthy and staying fit? No, never, right? None of us have. Well, coming up, I've got some general and some specific nutrition concepts that will leave your body and your brain feeling good. Hey, it's Eric from ewjtri, bringing you another video of one of my mistakes. This time it's on nutrition. One of my favorite quotes ever was from a novel called Once a Runner. And the quote is, "If the furnace is hot enough, anything will burn, even Big Macs." And in my 20s, I was basically fueling all my running 60 miles a week, eating pizza and drinking beer every day. And I sort of got away with it, but it took me till I was like 30 to realize that is terrible advice. And no wonder I felt so sluggish in my 20s. I could have been even faster if I ate the occasional celery stick. So it does matter what you eat, and we're going to talk about that today. Hit the subscribe button before you forget so you get a free weekly video so you can become a faster triathlete and not make all the silly mistakes that I have made along the way. Now, as we get into basic nutrition concepts, disclaimer, flashing lights, disclaimer, I am not a registered dietitian. And a registered dietitian is really the food and nutrition expert that can legally and is qualified to give specific dietary meals and plans, and that's really who you should go to. And be careful of the term nutritionist is not a regulated term. You or I could call ourselves a nutritionist today. So it doesn't mean they're not good, but they certainly haven't gone through all the qualifications of a registered dietitian. So if you have any really specific questions in detailed nutritional issues, I can refer you to a registered dietitian, or you could probably ask Siri to find one that's close to you. This video is specific to general daily diet, so not specific to when you're actually working out. We'll save that for another video. So in general, carbs don't make you fat, protein doesn't make you fat, fat doesn't make you fat. The simple formula is if you consume more calories than you burn, that causes weight gain, period. And the opposite is true. If you consume less calories than you burn, then you'll actually lose weight. And so that's kind of the formula for your daily intake in the most general sense. Even if you are working out and then you start to increase your training load, number of hours training, whatnot, if you don't want to lose weight, you've got to increase your calorie intake. And then if you take a day or two off, then you should actually decrease your caloric intake. And a more lengthy example is if you take 2 weeks off after a huge training block or a big race, that 2 weeks off, you definitely don't need as many calories as you do when you're training. So it really is back to just, again, calories burned versus calories consumed. One thing you might be sick of hearing is that it's individual. So you can give parameters and guidelines, but it really is individual. To be a little bit more specific, it's based on gender and weight. And so, for example, if your training partner weighs 30 more pounds than you do, that person's recovery amount of calories and daily food and even hydration is going to be different than yours with doing the exact same workout, same intensity. Before we get into any food, water and hydration is the most important thing. So in general, 2 to 3 liters a day, which is like 8 to 13-ish cups a day. Again, it varies based on your climate and body weight, and I think I've said that enough. So just know that it's general guidelines. And if you're actually overweight, you should be actually drinking more water, depending how many pounds of weight you're over your ideal weight. So, and you can don't go the other extreme on this. Most people don't drink enough water, but with these guidelines, don't drink way too much because that's not healthy either. But if you have trouble meeting these minimum sort of guidelines, just always have water with you. Just get a water bottle and just always take it with you. And if you're just sick of drinking water or don't like water that much, go crazy with it. Put a lemon in it, put a cucumber in it, or even put like flavored electrolyte, no calorie or minimum calorie tabs, so you at least get a little flavor. But hydration, I cannot emphasize enough, is the most important thing. Way more important than any food. You've got to be hydrated. All right, so when it comes to food, the best advice I ever got was basically eat a rainbow. Your plate should look like a rainbow. With orange carrots and green spinach and a red bell pepper. And try to eat as many different colors as possible, different types of nutrients, and the more variety that your body gets, the more it can typically absorb those nutrients, and you more have a higher chance of getting a well-rounded, balanced nutritional diet. What I've also found really helpful is to basically break it down into 7 different categories. And if you can try to eat a couple of the foods in each of the categories every day, you're doing pretty darn well. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And as you see these lists, again, if you can just check off a couple, you're going to be probably eating healthier than you are and healthier than most people, and you're going to start to notice a positive change. All right, so in no particular order, but probably the most important is veggies. We got asparagus, we got artichoke, we've got mushrooms, bell peppers, beets, bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, butternut squash, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, garlic, ginger, leeks, kale, onion, seaweed, spinach, spirulina, sweet potatoes, on and on. Typically about a half a cup counts as a serving. So again, if you can have a couple of these, you're on the right track. Next, we got fruits. You've got to be getting some of your sugars and carbs from fruit. We got apples, avocados. Yes, that's a fruit. Blackberries, blueberries, cherries, cranberries, goji berries, grapefruit, kiwi, lemon, lime, peaches, plums, raspberries, strawberries. Typically a half a cup to a cup. These are just a few examples of things you can try to get variety in and to spice it up. If it's hard time to get fresh fruit, you can buy frozen fruit. That way, if you run out of fresh fruit, then you can, unthaw some strawberries or blueberries or whatever, and so that you can have that as well. Number 3 on your list for daily things you should try to get is nuts and seeds. We've got things like almonds, Brazil nuts, cashews, hemp seeds, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, walnuts. Typically about a half a cup of these things are what you're going to want. What I do for healthy snacks, throughout the day is really to combine the fruit with nuts. So I might have an apple, with a handful of walnuts, and then maybe later I'll have a banana with, some Brazil nuts. And typically with the nuts, you want to have them, unsalted, just sort of plain raw nuts is the best way to go. But having some, if you haven't had them all, is better than none. Category number 4 we'll call beans, and this consists of lentils, chickpeas, hummus, black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, peas. Typically about a half a cup is what's going to be typically a serving. And then you've got the next category is herbs and spices. And with this we have things like basil, cinnamon, cloves, oregano, rosemary, sage, thyme, turmeric, nutmeg, dill, paprika, chili powder, cumin, cilantro. I find the herbs and spices, I find the herbs and spices one difficult. So I bought this, which is Bragg's 24 herbs and spices seasoning. It's got a ton. I mean, everything I listed off, it practically has in here. So sprinkle that on, avocado or different dishes that you've got, and there's your herbs and spices for the day. Number 6 is your whole grains. So like a brown or wild rice, millet, oats, quinoa, whole wheat pasta. A half cup to a cup is typically a serving in this category here. And the final category, 7, if you are not a vegetarian or vegan, is lean meats and fish. Things like bison, black cod, halibut, and salmon. If you can have something from each of those every day, you are doing fantastic. Okay, I hope that video was helpful for you on some of the nutritional aspects. And if you don't feel like you're a great eater, it doesn't have to be, cut out all the Doritos and Cheetos and, the fast food. While that'd be ideal, it's much easier to start adding in some of the things that, was talked about today. And then you'll actually be less hungry, for the other foods. And so you slowly start to have a shift. So yeah, have a bag of chips and then have a bag of carrots. And overall, your nutrition will improve if you start increasing those healthier foods. Okay, so hopefully that will fuel your training till the next week's video. Put a comment below. Tell me what some of your favorite foods, healthy snacks are that really fuel your training. And until next week, I will see you on the trails.